Hi everyone, I'm making an interesting video tonight. This is my brother, Eric.
Hello.
And this is 5 questions for a professional musician. So my brother Eric is one of my 2 brothers, and he is a very amazing musician, and that is what he does for a living, professionally. And you've done that pretty much for as long as...
All my life.
Yeah.
I was groomed to be a musician by our father. And started taking lessons as early as 1st grade.
Okay. See, So one of the reasons I wanted to do this is because I actually don't know a lot of this stuff.
You weren't born yet. No, wait. I don't know.
But it's just been something that it's always happened in our family. You were always in the basement practicing.
Right.
I even remember you giving lessons when you were in high school.
Right. When I was a freshman in high school, I started giving lessons. That is to say, getting paid to give lessons.
Yeah.
But I actually first started giving lessons, and this is true, when I was in 4th grade.
See? I didn't know this. You have a big concert coming up very soon. So quickly plug that, and then we'll get into the questions.
All right, so I'm going to plug it. I'm a drummer and percussionist and multi-instrumentalist, but I also compose, and composing is a huge part of my life. And I have a very big event coming up at Carnegie Hall, more specifically at Weil Recital Hall at Carnegie Hall. And
when is that?
That is October 13 at 8 p.m.
And if people want to find out more about you and that event and your music, which we'll get into,
I would say I'm going to give you slowly 2 websites.
Okay.
My website, which is Eric Starr with 2 R's, music.com, ericstarmusic.com. And also for tickets, you can simply go to carnegiehall.org.
Let's get into the questions. These are our questions that I sort of am going to throw at you.
Okay.
Some of these I think I know, but I probably don't actually know all of them in reality. A lot of the people that watch this channel are interested in music. Obviously, it's very guitar focused.
Right.
My sitar videos, etc. But I think there's a lot of people that are curious about being musicians, and so that's why I thought you might have some insight. So, what has been the most difficult and challenging aspect of being a professional musician? So think about this from the standpoint of maybe it's a kid, a high school kid, or someone in college, or someone who's thinking this is what they want to actually do and pursue in their life. What have been some of the big challenges that you had to deal with or face?
Well, this is obviously a huge question, and there are many answers I could come up with. If I were to come up with one central issue, the biggest hurdle, I think, is being able to put it all together and realizing that in the 21st century, you can't just be a musician. You have to think about the business aspects of music. You really have to think about how you're going to market and promote yourself. You have to have good writing skills. You need to be able to write a bio. You need to be able to work with a photographer, or, there's all these other external aspects to being a musician, certainly a semi-professional or professional musician, that you need to tend to.
And is that something that as the industry has changed, especially very radically in the last 20 years, that as someone who was already working as a musician, it was like sort of trying to figure that
absolutely
as that was happening.
Absolutely. And realizing that often no one is going to do it for you. You really have to develop skills that may not seem, at least initially may not seem related to music, like being a good writer. But those are skills you need to develop if you're going to write a bio, for example.
Sure.
Right? I'm just giving that as an example. There are many other examples.
Well, I think like social media has been
social media
change.
Yeah, and also thinking about your music from the perspective of, I have to get my music out to an audience, but I don't necessarily have a major label now doing that for me. So it changes the dynamic.
Well, I was going to say any tips you have for overcoming that, but maybe you already sort of spoke to that a little bit.
Yeah, I think to be is certainly open-minded and realize there's a lot you need to learn in addition to learning your instrument or instruments. There's things related to how you're going to promote and market your music to an audience that you need to learn about.
When did you know that you wanted to play music for a living?
I think I'm going to give you a short answer. Pretty much since I was aware of anything. Very young, probably around 3 or 4, I was thinking about music.
Okay.
and banging on coffee cans.
Mm-hmm.
That's a story that Mom and Dad used to tell.
Sure, yeah.
Always extremely interested in music from the very beginning, as far back as I can remember.
Our father, obviously, is,
Mm-hmm.
as you know, but people watching don't know, is a musician. That's what he's done his whole life.
Right? Trumpeter.
Yep. Was that at all an influence for you?
Well, absolutely. The earliest sounds I heard were probably jazz music and Dad playing trumpet, practicing. But not just him practicing, but also playing records.
Mm-hmm.
I think before I was even aware of, iconic, legendary rock bands like the Beatles, I was hearing jazz music. It has defined me since the beginning, in a good way, in a positive way.
Now, was there a point where you felt that was something that you had to sort of discover about yourself, though, where you said, like, I think this is actually sort of who I am? Because it had been so ingrained in your life that you didn't sort of realize?
Well, perhaps, and my relationship with music did change over the years. Mm-hmm. And there were ups and downs. There was a period in my early 20s where I felt a little bit disenchanted with music.
Sure.
And I was really interested in the theater and writing plays.
Yeah.
And that became a focus. And in fact, at one point I was very seriously considering making that my primary artistic focus and even possibly a career. But I think I came back to music because I think it's whatever I have to offer, I think it's my strongest suit. It's
for myself, talent. I think one of the things I've realized is that I've never thought of myself as a musician. Dad and you and our other brother, Nelson, have always made that your life, and that's sort of how I've identified you guys. And for me, it was much more visual arts. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that one of the threads for me has been music, connecting all of those things.
Right.
In just making videos for this channel, it just happened that they all ended up being sort of music-based. Mm-hmm. Now I'm sort of had this sort of realization in some ways that, like, music's a much bigger part of defining who I am than I maybe initially thought.
And I think you brought something into the family, into the fold regarding music that we didn't know about or hadn't experienced. And what I'm talking about is the different styles of music that you were interested in, like old school country and bluegrass, Americana, Appalachian music, right? Well, that's great music, and I learned from you about that.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Very much so, and became interested in someone like Ralph Stanley.
Okay.
Through you.
Well, see,
and
I see that. I just thought that was something that you were into.
No, I know about.
See, we're learning stuff.
That's
here.
right, and certainly sitar. I'm pointing to your
this
sitar guitar. Sitar guitar.
No, sitar guitar. Yes. Let's talk a little bit about teaching. We spoke very briefly about sort of where you started, but I know that teaching is for Dad and our other brother and for yourself. And for most professional musicians I know, students is a big part of making that lifestyle exist. I mean, Mozart had students, right?
Yeah, sure.
So talk a little about teaching. I know that's a big thing for you.
There's a couple things with teaching. Firstly, teaching is, I think all professional musicians should teach because it's important to share what you know. The next generation, each successive generation, should learn from who came before them. And I don't remember who said this quote. I've heard it attributed to a couple different people, but send the elevator back down. Okay? And so I think that's important. You want to share what you have learned with others. Additionally, it is an income. And a great way to make an income because, you can really feel good about you're doing something positive for the world and then also supplementing your income as well.
Do you find that teaching helps to keep you inspired? Or
Yes. Yeah. Students come in all different shapes and sizes, so to speak. I mean, there are some students who don't really work at it and don't put the time in.
Yeah.
But, you have some students who really do inspire you because they practice hard. They ask wonderful questions. Not that any question is bad,
Sure.
but some students ask questions that you've never thought about.
Mm.
And as you teach, you're learning more about music as well.
Sure.
You are also the learner. In order to be able to teach someone else, you have to be able to put into words what you are doing, how you are thinking. And with music, there's so much abstract concepts, and that can be difficult to do. So it really builds your own communication skills. Students will ask you things that you never thought about, and that makes you a better musician too.
Yeah.
My teacher, one of my many teachers, Joe Morello, the great legendary drummer, he really said to me, both literally and he embodied this, always be a student. We're always learning. So I don't want to contradict what I said earlier. We're sharing what we know, but it is a two-way street.
I know that you've had you've done a wide variety of musical styles, from being in rock and from straight rock and more sort of progressive stuff, to classical composition and jazz and having your own jazz group.
Mm-hmm.
What drives you to make music? What's that thread throughout all that stuff?
Well, I don't want to give you a non-answer, but I think it is a little bit mysterious. There is a motivation to create music for me because I think, I like this quote by Arthur Miller, the playwright. He said, "I write to make sense of internal chaos."
Okay.
And I think there's ideas ruminating, and I have things kind of, I'm thinking about, both consciously and sort of just, I guess, unconsciously. It's this, I might see something beautiful. Yeah. And my music tends to be very imagistic or visual anyway. If I see a beautiful landscape, I might suddenly get an idea, I should write about that.
Yeah.
So that's what drives me, is interacting with the world, interfacing with the world, and realizing that I have ideas and I'm not sure how to express them, but music is a language, and I think it's a great way to express thoughts. It is abstract, but it's a great way to communicate whatever ideas you have kind of brewing inside of you.
And just the different styles of music that you've done throughout your life and even currently.
Right.
Is that just because, for lack of a better way to put it, like what you're just sort of feeling that day? Or?
It may be, but I love all kinds of music. Yeah. I don't think in terms of low art and high art. Mm-hmm. I don't always think in terms of genre or style. I think there's, I'm trying to find the universal in all music, frankly.
Plug all your projects so everyone knows. Okay. Like how can they find what you're doing? How can they listen to your music? How can they contact you if they want to take lessons or anything? Just plug everything.
Again, I'm going to send you to my website, which is ericstarmusic.com. Eric is ERIC, music.com. Really, everything is on there. You can learn about all of my recordings, including my jazz group, Eric Star Group. Mm-hmm. The newest recording.
And who's played on those albums? People might like to know.
Well, my brother Nelson, our brother. Yeah. The great tenor saxophonist Ian Bellamy, who's in Great Britain. Mm-hmm. Kenny Asher, a wonderful pianist who wrote The Rainbow Connection.
Great song.
So,
and a specific guitar player?
Sting's guitarist, Dominic Miller.
Yes. So little name drops there.
Name drop. Guitars, yes. Dominic Miller played on the first record of mine called She.
Yes.
And he played beautifully on a classical acoustic.
Great.
So go to my website, and you can also learn about my Carnegie Hall show from my website, or go to carnegiehall.org.
So that's it. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and please check out his website and everything that's there, because I think you will really enjoy all of that stuff that's going on there. All right. Bye-bye. Happy practicing. That's it.
Wow, that went fast.